This is TWiT.
Hey, buddy, are you a geek? Are you a tech enthusiast? Then I would love to invite you to join a tech community like no other. You can gain exclusive access to our incomparable quality tech content with Club TWiT. As a member, you'll enjoy all TWiT TV shows ad-free. Plus, access private video feeds for insider shows like iOS Today, Home Theater Geeks, and so much more. Dive into the members-only TWiT Plus bonus feed for behind-the-scenes content, club discussions, and special events. But here's the best perk. Join our incredible Discord community to watch live show productions, chat with hosts, and participate in exclusive members-only activities. It's your backstage pass to the world of TWiT. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or a lifelong learner, Club TWiT elevates your knowledge while entertaining your interests. Get 2 weeks free when you sign up now and unlock unparalleled access at twit.tv/clubtwit. That's twit.tv/clubtwit. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you and welcome to the club. So did Bill do a vibe code too?
Yeah, I did the TWiT mobile app.
Yeah. Manny,
Yeah,
what did you do? Another TWiT app or what?
It's like a reminders app that it'll
Nice.
send you a notification, and when you open the notification, it preloads a text message with the contact already loaded, so it lets you
Nice.
send it, and then try to help people remove the friction of staying connected with the people you love.
Remove the friction. And had you done any coding before?
Oh yeah, I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
But I'm a Ruby dev, so like I don't.
Hey.
Yeah.
And when did you write it in?
It's iOS. It's an iOS app.
Ah,
it's
nice.
it's
So
in
Swift?
Swift UI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Not a
Right,
lot of
I've got
commonality.
I'm an engineer, but I don't have a lot of experience with React Mobile, and definitely not Expo. Right? I think the group chat just recommended that, and so I added that to my
Just
prompt.
tried it.
I have no context, but it works.
Is Expo, what is Expo? Is that a framework or is it?
Yeah, that's the cross-platform, right? So PhoneGap, Cordova, all those
Okay.
cross-platform mobiles.
They use
this
Expo.
This is the new flavor. Yep.
Okay. There's always a new one. Yeah, everybody told me
Mhm.
React Native was the way to go. But
And so this is React Native with Expo
With
as
Expo.
the
Still React. It's just
Yep.
it's more React. It's more
API.
reactive.
Yeah.
No, you've always got to have something that gets you access to like the iPhone or whatever beyond React.
And the extensions always break, and it's always a mess. But it's still one code base, right? It's easier than having iOS and Android apps or engineers employed.
Did you use the Mac what is it called? Visual Studio. That's Windows.
Xcode. Yeah.
Xcode. Thank you.
No,
Did you use
I
Xcode?
just built mine on Android for now. You could
Okay.
use Xcode. I'm a Linux guy, so I don't have Xcode on this machine. So you would basically just pull the code down, compile it on Xcode, and it'd be the same thing. It's still one code base for all
Nice.
platforms.
And say hello to Joe, also joining us. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hello, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Did you write anything? What did you bring for the class?
I will be honest. I show up to these for information, so I will probably
Yeah.
be mostly silent, but I may have questions because this is
Good.
all
Good,
interesting to me. But
it's fascinating.
I'm a non-coder, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I'm all art. That's it.
well, you don't have to be a coder, although it's interesting. Both Bill and Manny are coders, so as is Darren. So I
I think like a big part of writing code is like reading errors and things like that, right? And so that helps, right? If you can
Sure.
give the AI a little context about what the error is and help it focus that language set to that compartment, it does expedite the process a little bit.
But
Yeah,
I
I-
generate a lot of errors.
What's that?
I generate a lot of errors.
I do it the lazy way. I just take a picture of like my error and I slap it into Claude Code. And
Yeah, right.
Claude Code.
Yep.
Parses
And
the
so I
image.
use-
Yeah.
I use Windsurf, and so now it can read the output of what it executes, right? So I say execute the app, it reads the output, and then I just cancel the execution, or it closes automatically, and then it reads that output and iterates for you. It gets easier and easier all the time, right? Just the other day, I just pulled the trigger and enabled like auto execute, right? Where I just hands off. So I give it a prompt and I go make dinner and I come back and check that it hasn't failed, right? But like it does its thing.
in that context, just read an article. Actually, I've been reading many articles saying the key to really successful vibe coding is starting with context, spending time kind of building a context before you start coding. Let me ask one by one. Bill, what are you using? Claude Code? What AI code?
No, so I use Windsurf, and this is a new feature that they added. They have a planning mode, and the planning mode opens up a markdown file on the side outside the project, and it keeps basically a checklist of what it's supposed to do. So as it executes thing, it checks something it checks that off the list, and then it moves on to the next thing. So it always has that context, and you can edit manually that context as well. But I agree, like setting it up with the same thing like Alex Lindsay says and all this stuff, right? You got to give it context. You have to tell it what it is. You have to be in charge. Like you are managing the AI, right? Don't ask it questions. Give it prompts of what to do. But yeah, that context as far as like languages, all that kind of stuff plays into again narrow the scope to select the right words, the right tokens in the next sequence, right?
Yeah. Manny, what tool did you use to do your reminder utility?
So I had originally started it in Cursor, but I noticed that the Cursor agent was struggling quite a bit, and then so I decided to invest in Claude Code, and it was a night and day difference.
I love Claude Code. Darren taught me about Claude Code. This is the app? So you actually published it already?
Yeah, that's me.
Holy cow. And you got it accepted and everything.
Mm-hmm. I bought my first purchase yesterday, so that was cool.
Well, you're going to get a few more, I'm sure. Nudgenote, how much is it?
So the premium tier is $4.99 a year, which offers like premium.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, so I'm a very consumer first engineer, and so I would want to build the software that I would want to use. And so,
do you have some expenses associated with this that you need to cover?
No, I mean, I bought the Apple developer account. Like
that's $99 a year, right?
Yeah. Building this was my dream, and the Claude Code. But it's out there because I find it useful to me, and I hope other people find it useful. And if they decide that they want to give me $5 a year, then cool.
Seems worth it.
Yeah, and where do you like store the data and stuff? Are you using like Supabase or
it's all stored locally within the app in core data. Yeah. So I have no analytics, no tracking, no nothing. I get no information from anybody for anything. It is.
You don't want it. Trust me.
I don't exactly. I do not want it. It is 100% privacy focused.
Yeah. You would only want it if you were Meta or Google or somebody like that. Somebody who could monetize it with advertising. There's no other reason to collect that stuff. And it just opens a can of worms with the GDPR and CCPA and all this.
Yeah.
Cool.
I want to build the software that I want to use.
Were you surprised that you were able to develop an app and get it through the App Store approval process?
Oh, my mind is blown. Like this is a process that I probably couldn't have finished this year by myself. And with Claude Code, it took me 3 weeks. So
yeah, it
looks native,
blocker, right?
It's one more time.
I said it's just an unblocker, right? Like all those scenarios in the past. You're like, man, I spent a week trying to solve this problem. It unblocks you. It just, you don't have those long stints of trying to figure out one thing. It can stay focused, right? Where you don't get into like, I'm working on this thing, but I also noticed this thing that needs to be fixed, right? It keeps that focus. It's definitely makes things faster.
Yeah. I mean, I have had it like go rogue and delete my GitHub runner files and like push and pull from the wrong branch. But like once I catch it, I just tell it it's doing it wrong and it fixes it on its own really quick, or it'll spin up a new set of GitHub runner files and start my CI/CD process all over again. So
I thought I was going to get called out more than I did. So before I did this TWiT mobile app, right? I did just that demo of all the different languages interacting with the TWiT API, right? And so Python, JavaScript, Ruby, those were all easy, but
that's the first thing I did with Claude because I have no idea how to interact with the API. So I just said, hey, here's the endpoint for the API. Tell me how to interact with it.
So I did it in Common Lisp, which took exponentially.
You did it in Common Lisp?
Yeah, it's out there.
Why? Why did you do it in Common Lisp?
Because I know that's your language, so I did it.
That's good. It knows Common Lisp. It does very well in Common Lisp.
It took a lot longer to generate in Common Lisp than I thought. And as part of that troubleshooting that it did on its own, it was trying to make sure that it could connect to the API. And so in that, it output the credentials from the environment variables. And now it has access to those credentials. And those credentials got put into the repo, and that repo got pushed. And so it pushed credentials on its own up to a GitHub repository, right?
Not
and
good.
Pushed it out. That's fine. But that's a risk, right? Especially now with these ones like Windsurf and Claude, where they have access to your environment. They can do things, even if they, most of them say, "Hey, I ignore everything in the Git ignore." If you use like a terminal command, if you have it execute a terminal command to output all the environment variables to a file, it can do that, and it can read that file, and it can use that file, right?
And it can push it.
There's a lot of risk.
Yeah, so I told Claude, I'm going to give you an API key. I don't want it in public, and it helped me actually make sure that was. I think it put it in PGP or somewhere. It was somewhere that was not going to get uploaded to Git, which was good. So tell me, Bill, where your code is so we can look at it here.
Yeah, there's a post in the chat. Probably there's just a GitHub repo where it's public. Let me see if I can pull it down.
I just dropped a link in the chat.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
Okay. That means I have to copy it from one machine to another.
Okay. I can pull it up too.
No, I don't mind. I want to look at it. I want to browse through it. What's the GitHub? Do you mind saying what your GitHub account is?
Oh, no. BG Tech WA.
BGTECHWA. Are you in Washington State?
No, just dash. BG Tech WA.
Dash.
Where's the dash? In between Tech and WA?
No. BG dash WA.
Oh,
sorry,
I see.
said tack, but
oh, you call a dash a tack?
I do. It's an old Hack 5 thing from when I was little. That's how they said it, and that's how I've always learned it. I guess
I've never heard that before. Okay, obviously Anthony had. It's like bang. It's just another way of saying the
right. And so there's also like I don't know if we can pull up that GIF of it like being used. That may be helpful to walk through.
Is it?
Oh, I recognize your picture here. Okay, so that's you. All right, now let's see which repo are we looking at here?
There's a link in the chat.
I know.
Okay, sorry.
Is it not a public? Is it not a public?
Oh, it should be. It should be.
Bash Bunny Studio QR extractor.
Yeah, click on
TWiT
repositories. You're on the overview.
Oh, that's why I'm just looking at your favorite ones. There we go. Trip mobile app, and you. This is not Ruby. This is React Native with Expo.
Yeah.
Nice, and you can browse the shows, watch video, listen to audio episodes. Wow, did Patrick Delahanty give you a hand on this, or were you able to?
No, I mean he gave me creds. He approved my.
Yeah,
API
he had to approve your API access. Yeah.
And other than that, no, you guys had documentation that I fed into the AI, right? You can just download that file and put it in there as a resource. I think it's actually in there in the resources in the repository.
This is fantastic.
And yeah, so anytime it struggles, right, you can just say reference this file for documentation, and it does a pretty good job. Now, there's definitely optimizations that need to be done, right? Like limiting on requests and probably some caching and like infinite scrolling and stuff like that. Creating these apps is the fun part, and the easy part it's the maintenance part that's time consuming and effortful.
But it's just another, another prompt session, right? You just say, okay, today I'm going to fix this, and tomorrow I'll fix that. And
yep. So I time box this at 10 hours. This is like, after the family goes to bed at night, I spend a couple hours here and there, and it's not a ton of lifting in this. And this is one person, right? Just
if somebody wanted to install this, they would need what, Python? What would they need to run this?
No, just like npm, like Node.
Okay, just need Node. Okay.
Yeah, and there's actually there's a README that it generated. And so again, like all of these things, I wouldn't spend the time like learning how to set it up, right? Like install a software like Windsurf, phone the repo and say, help me run this app, right? It'll execute the command, it'll do the install. You don't have to learn all that stuff.
Can I piggyback off of that real quick?
Yes.
I actually just got issued a new laptop at work, and I was in the process of like migrating all of my repos from one laptop to the other. And so I just told Claude Code, I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Write me a script that'll go download all of my repos on my other laptop. So it wrote me a script and it downloaded all 44 repos. And then I just went in and I said, hey, now start at the first one and go through the README and just make sure this runs locally, or start getting it to run locally. And then once it does, stop and move on to the next. And Yeah, this would have taken
even with the
weeks. Yeah.
even with the first versions of ChatGPT, like my first wow moment was having it write a bash script that would copy down all my Docker images and store them to a local network drive and S3, right? Like that's something that would have taken me probably a couple weeks to write that script, and it did it, right? And that's when I was like, oh, this is the way, right? Like this is
Yeah.
where we're moving, and it's
Well,
only
okay.
gotten easier and better and faster. Editing multiple files, right? Like there's definitely stages, and eventually, I imagine, right? You'll have your CI pipelines with quality gates, and you'll have a bunch of AIs, pushing PRs, and the ones that meet our quality gates go through to the next phase, right? And more we'll just automate our engineering jobs into that.
So, did you write tests? Did you have it write tests? How did you?
I don't know in this app if I did. Normally I do. That's a good way to have it iterate, right? Write some
Right.
tests and then make sure that, test-driven design.
Right.
That's a good way to go about it. Like you were talking earlier about, or maybe on Wednesday's Intelligent Machines about, having a spec. That's a good way to go about it, right?
Right.
In my professional career, that's how we do it, right? We've got a spec, you can upload it and then have it, create that plan and execute through that.
Nice. Darren, what do you think? Darren's been doing a lot of vibe coding. He's like the king of vibe coding these days, I think. No, I'm just teasing you. What anything you'd like to add to this? Any insights?
Yeah. I mean, I think what you guys said was exactly right in that a lot of people focus on the building software and everything, and some people are, I don't need to build software, but it's just as useful for writing a script to just do something with your machine. Like I'm doing that more and more, like especially as I've started a new job, and I'm constantly, I always do this, I constantly think, I need a tool to do that, or it's a pain doing this every day or something. And whereas before I might have taken days or a week, or thought the tool was too much or something, you can create a tool in seconds or minutes. Like we're using a new product, or I made a product I hadn't used before called Overmind, which muxes many different things on like a Linux box or whatever. And I suddenly wanted a GUI for it because there's certain things I don't like. An hour later I had a GUI. And basically, it was just like, give me a GUI for Overmind. I wanted to do this, this, and this. I want to be able to turn off certain streams, turn them on again. And yeah, obviously, then you tweak it. But just being able to create your own tools is a huge thing.
Yep. Plugins, add-ons, extensions to existing software. I know somebody was talking in the past about Kodi. Like I'm a Kodi user. I've got a plugin that I use all the time, but I didn't like the way it worked, right? Like my family had a hard time using it. So I wrote in autoplay. I have it sort by the formats and sizes that I want. And now it's like one click. So I think all that stuff, there's like a product side of it, right? Where you can be in those ecosystems, creating extensions and applications. But even just for personal use, we have people in our organization now that are not engineers using the engineering tools because they can drop 50 CSVs or Excel files into a Windsurf project and have it do analysis on that whole context of files.
Don't show my screen because I'm going to put in my API key to try this out. If I could find it and remember it.
One tip with all of these things, keys and secrets are, and this is more a general dev tip, but are always a thing, and you should just have a way of dealing with secrets. So I use Python keyring for everything. Like even in other things, I've just got wrappers in other languages that just call out to the keyring. And if you're dealing with cloud, then AWS has a secrets manager and a param store. But in any development, you should just have a way of managing secrets.
Absolutely.
Environment variables.
But I do think there's a bit of a breakdown with these tools where when they have access to your machine, they can just be you, right? You can say export all the environment variables to a file.
But that's the thing. It should never be environment variables and should never be files on your machine. It should be something that is managed for it. Like on your machine, keyring is a good one, like because it goes into whatever the param store on your local machine is. On AWS, you've got the secret store, you've got the param store, and so once you've wrapped these, and you just always use, like as I said, I always use keyring, which on Mac or Windows is going into, something secure inside, like the Windows Credential Manager or Apple's thing, whatever it is. But as long as you, like, once you just have a way of managing secrets that is secure, and that even if someone else logs in, you can't do it, then there's no way it's going to accidentally pick up those things.
Anything else anybody wants to add? I'm still working on launching your code, so I want to show everybody. It's pretty. I have to just get my API key. I'm just trying to find.
Well, if any of you want to share, like, if you have something up, you could also just share your screen.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. I've got it up. So Leo, you'd also probably need like the Android Studio installed, right?
Oh,
it's gonna have to run on an
never
emulator.
mind. I'm on a Mac. I'm not installing Android Studio. So I can't just run it in Node? Oh,
well, I mean, the application runs on Node, but it's going to build an APK that needs to run.
Oh, I see. Never mind. Device, I'm stopping right now. Thanks for the warning.
I kind of thought this might come up. Let me.
Yeah. So
do you have it running on your machine? Yeah, we can pull. You can show your camera, show your screen.
All right. Let me know when you can see me.
Right now we see you.
Oops.
Oh, I see. Share the screen. Hold on. There it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had that.
You see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Give us a little tour.
Yeah. So here's the emulator, right? We can scroll through and we can see all the different shows. You can click into one of these. Going to make an API call in the background. You can see all that data flowing back and forth. And then you can scroll down here. We got episodes. You can click into one of these episodes.
Can I tell you, we spent $75,000 about 10 years ago with
things are going to change.
Indian app development team that made an app for us for Android and iOS that was so crappy we didn't release it. $75,000 down. This is 10 times better already.
Well, except that it just crashed. So let me see.
Never mind. I take it all back.
No,
crashes aren't a big deal. That's
okay. So here's, like, I have a little run script that's in there too, right? And so this is going to run it on my machine. Opening up the emulator here, that'll launch in a second.
And at some point, you would then feed the crash log to your coding platform to win. What was it you were using?
Windsurf.
It was Windsurf. Okay. And
so if I'm going to do, like, while this is running,
what happened?
I'll just kind of and so I usually start the prompt with, like, because we know the languages here, right? Like, you are an expert mobile app dev. Let's see. You are an expert in, we'll say, React
I love
Native.
This is good for everybody to see this.
You're an
not that they can read it, but
and Expo. Oh yeah, I could have made it bigger. All right, so I like to start like this, right? And then I'll say, like, review this app and tell me everything you can. So now I'm just having it, like, feed its own context, right? I'll change it to chat here, so I'm not going to change any code, and I'll just have it run. So now it's going to go through, it's going to look at all these files in the directory, it's going to look at the README, and it's got that context enough to know what's important, right? So it's going to read through. I like Claude 3.7 thinking. I feel like I get the best results. Claude 4 seems a bit verbose. A lot of the other ones, especially I think with the Windsurf integration, I find more bugs with them. So I tend to use 3.7 thinking. Okay, so this is launching now. Let's go back over here. All right, so this is launching on the emulator. That's analyzing my code, right? So you can get into some multitasking here. 99%. Okay, some more app launches.
You're watching our AI user group, Club TWiT members. Great to have you. Welcome. Of course, thank you for your donation that makes this possible. If you're not a Club TWiT member, you're watching this live, that's great. We're thrilled. However, You have to watch live to watch it live, and it's on the Club TWiT feed after the fact, but TWiT Plus feed after the fact. It'll be a month later that you'll be able to watch this after the fact. I don't know why I'm telling you this because you're seeing it, so you figured it out.
Yep.
Anyway,
so there must be
join
something
the
on
club.
that. There must be something on that page that it doesn't like, right? So crashed again. So this is where if we're gonna troubleshoot it, I'd say something like I'm experiencing.
What model does
crash.
Windsurf using?
So you can pick. So I'm 3.7 Sonnet thinking, but you
Sonnet,
can pick
okay.
from all these, right? You can do
Right.
Cloud 4 thinking, and they all have different credit tiers. So the way most of these work is you buy a set of credits. So like I'm on the team account, I get 300 credits a month, and then you can purchase packages of credits beyond that, right? So something like GPT 4.1 is going to use a quarter of a credit, where what I'm using is 1.25 credits. So honestly, 300 credits is a fair bit. I have burned through 300 credits in a night before.
Yeah,
but
me
most
too.
of the time, 300 credits can last you most of the month, depending on how much you're doing. So I'm experiencing a crash on the video show page. Please, no, I won't say please. I'm not going to do that. Nice. Fix this. So now it'll find that video show page. It'll give me an analysis, and then because I have auto filter turned off, right, it's gonna give me what it's gonna do, and I say proceed or not proceed. You'll see it gives you like a diff of what it does as well, so you can choose to accept or disallow those changes. So with this tool specifically, you do get a lot of like feedback and interaction. I know Claude Code is similar, right, where it will suggest an action, and then you can choose to take that action.
Yeah, you can set it up so it automatically edits, but I wouldn't recommend it. You probably want to approve everything.
So here you see what it's doing, right? It found the episode detail screen. It found like the line that it's on. It's continuing to look at that, look in detail at every line. You can see kind of how it's thinking and what it's doing. So these are like multiple API requests, right, to Claude, and it's not just like a single shot thing. Same way as if you're doing this manually in the browser, you're not gonna the first request isn't gonna fit all your solutions. All right, so let's dig back in here. We won't take that route, but basically you can dig into all the shows. You get a show listing. You can dig into the show. You're going to get like the description of the show. You're going to be able to play the audio and the video. There's a couple other routes you can take here. I know we're not using the streams anymore. You can do the staff. So all this is being pulled from the API.
I like it. There's Amy Webb. She's going to be on Sunday.
Yep.
That's great. Along with Harper Reed.
Amy, yeah, and we can see like here's your biography. You can see
great.
the episode.
And this is all pulling from our API. So all of this stuff is available if you have an API key. Nice job.
So
that looks great.
There are some constraints, right? Like the API is 5 requests per minute. So to scale this to production, things like that are
we can bump you up. Yeah.
Yeah. And really it's like ownership too, right? There's the distribution process here too, right? Is if you're going to put the app in the App Store, you probably want it under like the TWiT Apple account and things like that, right? So there's some ownership and responsibility. Who's maintaining this? If you're getting a flood of PRs that are AI generated, like what's the plan? Right? Are you putting something like CodeRabbit in there? I don't know if they're a sponsor or not, right? But are you putting an AI line of defense in there with some rules that say, hey, we don't want any keys in here. Here are kind of the general guidelines of how we write software. Like there's a lot of phases to getting this out to production as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a search that uses the API, and then you can come in here in settings. I think this is like some ripe opportunity if somebody wants to experiment with PRs. There's a dark mode here that doesn't work. That seems like a pretty straightforward like CSS implementation that could be implemented. You can join the club right from the app. So yeah, all this in 10 hours of work. I feel like as an engineer with over 20 years of experience, I couldn't do this in 20 hours or 10 hours before this tooling.
Darren, how hard is it if somebody's written this for another person to come in and do a PR, pull request on it, and submit code? I mean,
this is the interesting thing. I mean, one thing is this is where something like Codex comes in, and Codex is quite different in that Codex you can just point at a repository, say I want to make this change, and it will build a PR for you. So it's specifically designed to work like that. And it's just part of your OpenAI account, so you get access. So it's well worth screwing around with. But in terms of, I mean, if you know how to code and everything, then obviously you can just get this locally and make the changes. But to some extent, and this is what I'm spending all my time screwing around with, like, you know, that Obsidian MCP I've written. I made a similar MCP which I use daily at work, which looks at the code base, because to some extent you're still limited by the code window, the context window of the thing, and code has a lot of tokens in it, so they've got to have some way of indexing. And Windows, I mean, Windsurf and all the other tools, they are trying to index the code. Codex tries to index it, but somehow you've got to find where to make the change.
Is it a lot of context? Is that the problem? There's so much context?
Yeah, there's so much code and it doesn't fit in the context window.
Right.
But even these supersized context window things like Gemini, the performance decreases with the number of tokens. So this is where the structure of the code, as you get further on in an AI project, because you can easily create a 1.0, but as you get further on, its performance will decrease. Like you start hitting all sorts of limits and chat limits and things like this. So structuring it more logically in smaller files, so it can easily find what it can do, and it can make changes that are localized, is the real secret of you know, it's sticking with the vibe coding going forward. Is you make the big monolith file and then you break it into little files, so that every time it doesn't have to reproduce the whole file. It can just work on the well, in that Overmind GUI I was talking about, like, there was a lot to do with just how the buttons worked and everything. So having the button in its own file meant that the interaction with the system, it only had to think about that file, and it drastically improves your results. So while things like Codex and everything, and everybody's trying to solve the same problem, including me, which is how do you index the code in a way that the LLM can walk through it.
Right.
And I can show you if you want. Well, go into something else. I'll figure out how do you share a screen? Oh, there.
There's a plus button. Yeah.
Yeah. Show you, allow to share window.
Right. That context window of, like, treating it like a junior dev, right? Where you really have to break the problem down into smaller problems and have it solve the small things to get the big result. You come in and just say, I want this gigantic thing, you're going to lose it, right? You have to be a little more methodical about it. Yep.
Yeah. So this is actually me using it for work. So this is my question, but I've got my little MCP, so I've indexed the MCP in a similar way to I did with the Obsidian, but with a little more code structure. So I've indexed it at the snippet level and at the function level, at the class level, and I've done something that goes through the AST, like parses the whole thing and produces a graph. So all of this is trying to make the code base accessible to the system. So I can then say, give me a question. I mean, here I've got a guarantee of review component. I want a fetch task that's in something to do with the way they do this work. And so it's done this, and then it starts searching my code. So it's looking for, I can find this component, I can find
Yeah, Manny's saying that's kind of what Claude Code does, is it actually greps through it and looks for...
it's the only way, because it's got...
It can't hold the whole code base.
Exactly. And so then the question is how well it's doing the index, because you can see this is bouncing around. So obviously,
it's looking for it, but it can't find it.
Yeah, having a better graph. Yeah. As you can see, I'm finding this, I'm finding this, I'm finding this. Now, it actually does eventually find the, like, ages down, it does find the right.
So
code.
this is where you could end up going down an unfortunate rabbit hole. Is chasing this down.
Exactly, and then eventually you get the right answer, and I got what I want, and that sort of thing. But it all comes down to how well this index is, and how well structured, not well structured in terms of good code, but how the structure maps onto something that the LLM can traverse.
Manny, I want to start looking at your code, at your app now. Because I've downloaded and installed it on my machine, so I'm ready to get nudged. Let me zoom in so we can see the app. It's a iPhone app, so I'm looking at it on a Mac, so it looks a little bit small. So this is nudgenote, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you spend building this?
Oh, probably about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't a trivial project. This was one of a 10-hour project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. I also have other responsibilities. So
yeah, no, you have a life. I'm not knocking it.
No, I wish I could have got it. I probably could have got it done much faster.
I'm trying to give people a realistic idea of what's involved.
Oh, yeah.
Here is what I'm looking at. So did you have a spec that you worked from at the beginning, or did you just launch right in?
This time I kind of just launched right in, but now that I've been working with these tools for quite a bit, I've kind of changed my workflow, and I use Claude Code planning mode quite extensively. And so it will go in and it will create like a markdown checklist of every step it's going to need to take in order to complete the task or the function or whatever you need it to do. And then once planning mode is done, you can have a back and forth with it, and then you let it go, and it just, next thing you know, you have a beautiful UI with a working app.
That's nice. So is the spec somewhat like a spec that you would write, a client would write for you? I mean, is that, or do you do it something a little different? Do you have to consider what Claude needs?
Yeah, it's kind of just, it was more feature specific. It was like, this is what I want it to do, and this is how I think it should operate. And I think you should keep these things in mind. Right. Yeah. And then other than that, I kind of gave it free reign. I told it in the Claude.md, the file that it reads every time it makes a request to the Claude, to run the tests and run the build to make sure there are no errors before like committing the code and pushing it. And so
and this is pretty Mac native. How did it know how to do that, for instance?
It just
knew.
It just knew.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and you weren't using Xcode though.
No, I used it as 100% in the terminal.
And I've crashed it.
Yeah,
do you want this?
Yeah, both demos have crashed.
I probably did something you didn't expect, but that's what happens, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the difference between iOS and macOS, but it was built specifically.
Yeah, and that's probably part of it. I'm running it under Catalyst and macOS, and so it's.
But I mean, if there's more that you want to see about my workflow or whatever, I'm happy to jump on. I'm on my Windows PC.
Yeah, show us.
I have a Mac Mini.
So we won't hate you for that. It's okay.
All right, give me. I need to jump over.
Oh, you'll have to hang up and go over there. Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so give me 1 second. I'll be right over there.
Okay.
I have a question while he's doing this.
Yes.
So we talk about like the uncanny valley in text writing and in image generation, right? And when we, just Wednesday, we had Mike Masnick on, and he was talking about how he loves to have AI write all the code, but then in his next breath, he said, I would never have AI write an article for me, right? And so like, as an engineer, when I look at code written by AI, I can tell the uncanny
you can tell
valley,
immediately. Yeah, I can too.
Yeah, there, right? We had engineers that were against comments till their last breath, and now all their code has comments in it because it gives the AI context, right? And so, as like, is it just the compilation process that abstracts that uncanny valley enough to make it acceptable? Like, what my main question is, like, all these creators and everything on the content side are against AI. Why are engineers like adopting it so much, right? Like
I'm gonna let you answer that, Darren, but I have a answer from that I remember reading an article about this, which is coding's not art. That what is underneath the hood
Depends if you're an engineer, right? Like, I'm not artistic.
Right.
Coding is my artistic
it's
expression.
an art in the sense that the process that you go through is, and I completely understand this, but honestly, from the point of view of the product, it's only what matters is on the surface, not the underlying code, right? And so I think I've read engineers talk about this, and the uncanny part is what's underneath the surface.
Mhm.
If the result is like Manny's nudge note, indistinguishable from something a human would write, it doesn't matter that the code isn't. Darren, what do you think?
Well, I was going to say nothing different to what you just said. Like, we were talking about on intelligent machines the other day, and like with Benito and Anthony, and it was exactly the same thing, in that writing is an act of expression, whereas coding is a means to an end. Like, you want the result, and
yes,
if it works,
it is expressive as a coder as you're doing it.
So this is a new paintbrush for us. It's not a new, like, this is just a new tool that we get to use to achieve that end result expression.
And it may not be as satisfying as actually coding. It isn't for me. I mean, I could, do the advent of code problems with Claude Code, but that's a different process. That's all about prompting. And for me, the advent of code is all about me thinking and crafting something that's a solution. And the funny thing about that is that's not driven towards a product that you will then give to other people. It's for yourself.
But also, I say, like, if you're building something, like, you just want the thing, especially if you're building a tool for yourself or a product for yourself. So if you want it to work, if you're solving an AOC problem, it's like doing a Sudoku or something like this. You're playing a game, right?
Right. It's a game.
It's an activity, and it's nothing to do with solving.
I don't think this is something humans are. I can't think of an analog in the real world that we're used to. When I think about a house, it's very important how the house is built, even if you don't see it in the final product. It's extremely, as I'm learning, because we're tearing our house apart, it's extremely important, even though it's invisible. And I guess to some degree, a running program, it's somewhat important that under the hood it's done properly. But whether somebody put comments in or not, as an example, or whether somebody used a recursive technique or an iterative technique, or used an imperative programming language or a functional programming language, doesn't really matter, right?
Well, I was saying to someone yesterday, talking about real people and doing it, and saying that, because at a particular place they're not emphasizing tests. People are just getting things done without tests, and they were saying, like, you imagine you get two people to build a house of cards as tall as the roof, and you say one of them you're allowed to use glue, and the other one you just do it. The other one will be much quicker, but the house will keep falling down. And tests are sort of like that. Now, it doesn't really matter. Tests are like the glue; they solidify the thing, and it really doesn't matter if it's a person writing it or a computer writing it. If you've got things that say this works and it will always work, then it doesn't matter how that was achieved.
Galia is saying something I think important. She's saying people use machines in building houses where they used to do those things manually. In fact, a machine might do a better job of construction, right? It might actually build a better house, just as theoretically Claude might build a better program. We're not talking about necessarily quality as we are about experience. And the experience of a coder, that's what you're doing, Bill. As a coder, you're creating your art. Mm-hmm. But for the end user, if you use screws or nails, as long as it doesn't fall apart.
I don't know if that's depressing or not, but I'll accept it as an answer.
So
Manny's back. Go ahead, Manny. Were you able to share your camera, or? I think he's still getting his.
I think still getting set up.
Set up. Okay. So I mean, it's good. This is an important point. Also, is that the history of human innovation and technology is, that we have added machines that do a better, a calculator does a better job of arithmetic than we do in our heads. That's what that wonderful Richard Feynman lecture from the 60s. Somebody asked him, "Can a computer ever be as good as a human?" And he said, "Well, look, a car is faster than a human can run. It doesn't diminish running or humans, any more than a calculator diminishes our way of thinking. It's probably inevitable that machines will code better than we do at some point. Yeah, Joe.
Because I'm not an engineer at all. A lot of this is like math to me, which is I'm too dumb to understand it. But it's interesting.
But you are an artist.
Well, that's the uncanny valley thing, because obviously, being a visual artist who doesn't hate AI automatically, I'm kind of in the middle of two warring camps, one that's all for it, one that's all against it. And I think that's silly on both ends. But the interesting part is the uncanny valley thing. What I have picked up, and I don't know if this matters. This is kind of an engineering analog, I guess. I don't know if this actually matters, is the people who are most heavily reliant on image generation don't have a lot of flexibility in terms of because this is what I've run into, right? I have tried to use these tools, and image-wise, they're mostly garbage. They can't do what I want them to do because they can't replicate results correctly. They keep varying everything, and I don't want variation. I want
you spend more time massaging the prompts than it would to draw it.
Right.
The more you know what you want, the harder it is to get.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's a really good point.
It is. It's generalizing some of this creation and how people do it. That's not necessarily bad. I'm not against that. But what I do think it does is reveal a deficit between people who understand how the images are being created, whether it's through a machine or from themselves, and just relying on the machine to do everything. So that when somebody says, okay, but can we change this? And they're stuck. Right? That's the tricky bit as far as an uncanny valley effect. I think that's why so many artists get upset. I think a little bit over upset about it, but is because there is a perceived lack of appreciation of what an artist who can natively create something without machine augmentation or whatever term you want to use. That just gets wiped away because somebody can generate something in 5 minutes. And that's fine for, 70% of what the use cases are, but then the rest of it gets blown away. And again, I don't subscribe to that all that much either, because I think you come to appreciate real artisans more. But there's going to be, like everything else, a friction point where all these people who were kind of on the edge are going to get swept away, and, creative destruction, whatever you want to term it. But that's what it feels like in the art space. I don't know if that is analogous to engineering, because with code, it feels like, well, there's a certain amount of ways to do something. As long as you use one of those ways and you get creative on the other side, you accomplish what you're trying to do.
I feel like on the engineering side, what I worry about is cannibalizing the knowledge pipeline, right? Like junior devs are hard to we're not hiring junior devs anymore. If you're not hiring junior devs, you're not going to have senior devs, right? And so where if the momentum keeps going and we don't need engineers at all, that's fine. But at some point, like, have we abstracted it too far?
Well, there's a trap on the other side of that too that I think about when it comes to like cars, because cars, if in the 70s, 60s, in that time frame, if your car broke down, you as a person who didn't really know much about cars, you could figure out how to fix it. You get a book, you go to the library and get an automotive manual for your car. And as long as you understood how screwdrivers and torque wrenches and a couple things work, which is really not that hard for anybody to understand, you could fix your car. Now, cars are so integrated with computers, electronics, and everything is all tied together that if it breaks, you have to go to a dealer and hope that you can afford to. And that's the thing with the tools is, I think these prices are only going to keep going up, especially if there is as much energy and environmental cost where that starts actually becoming material to these companies, is what happens when you don't know how to do anything without the tool. You have to know every bit of coding. I don't think you have to go to school for 20 years to figure out how to do every single coding bit. But if we just allow that knowledge to sweep away, then you will be stuck where, what if there is some fundamentally huge security flaw in one of these things, and you find out that the two people who made the app have no idea how they made it, and they can't afford to get into the repositories or whatever.
I would put a slight disagreement in there in that the models that we can run on our desk at the moment are better than the models we were freaking out about 2 years ago.
2 years, it's like 2 years behind, right?
Yeah, Mistral Small blows 3.5 out of the water, right? And I can run it on my desk, and it's not doing anything. So I don't agree that the prices will go up. And to some extent, all of this also as we get better at, like, at some point we're going to solve the indexing problem, and you will be able to point a code at a large code base and say, find this problem. There's a security problem in there, find it. And so everything else you said, I completely agree with, but I think it's going to become cheaper and more accessible every day. So
I think we're going to have.
I hope you're right. I really do, because I don't want that to be the future, because we're also relying on this stuff. I don't want that. People are like trying to generate the Terminator thing so they can be like, see, we were right. And I'm like, no. I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want it all to collapse because somebody put a 0 where they should put a 1. I'd like all this stuff to stay understandable, or at least be accessible, so that we don't run into that. That's not a fun future for me. I don't want that.
I think we might be past that.
I hope so. I really do.
So in the art side of things, right? I know we focus a lot on vibe coding in these chats here, right? So early on, when OpenAI, remember they have their GPT for coloring books, right? My kid loves to color, and we make coloring book pages all the time. Like, that's one of the use cases. So I combine that with Kindle Direct Publishing, and now we have animals wearing pants, a full coloring book that my kid and I created.
That's
right?
pretty cool.
And
That's
now you can
fun.
buy it on Amazon if you want. So there's the coding is definitely an adoption, but there's so many other use cases. I'm curious here, like, what other use cases are there in this group, right? Like, it can't all just be software devs. Maybe it is. You see those charts and graphs where devs are definitely the heavy adopters, but there's got to be a lot of other use cases out there.
The easiest one for me is I would like people who have some kind of physical or mental block to creation to be able to create. That's why I can't ever support this destroy it all mentality, because it shuts people out. I don't think it's a replacement for self-generated creation and imagination, but why should somebody who doesn't have full command of all 10 fingers not be able to draw an I can? I don't, that's not great. I don't think that's a world we want to be in. We want people to be able to, I don't know if Elon's going to create the thing that'll interface.
Well, there's a
brain,
reason, because you put years and years and years, Joe, into drawing bad drawings until you got some good drawings out of it, right? Probably started when you were 8 years old or 7 years old, and you've been drawing ever since, I would imagine. Coding's kind of the same thing, and that's, I think, why Bill was a little worried that we're gonna stifle the pipeline of coders. I hope that there are people who will do it for the same reason you started drawing, Joe, because they love doing it. And they will learn. They won't have a chance to learn on the job, maybe, though. That I don't know how important that is.
Yeah, that's there should be a impetus to get people excited about what makes these things work. I think that is important. Is you want them to just be like, well, the end product is important, but so is the path to get there. If you're interested, some people are never going to be, the same way that some people just put clip art on a t-shirt and they're fine with that. Hey, if that's what you do, fine. I'm not saying anything, but there are other people like, no, I'd like it to be a little bit more. And I've told people who are like, oh, I'd love to be able to paint. And I'm like, just watch Bob Ross. It's not as hard as
Happy
you
little
think.
cloud.
Seriously though,
Coding's not quite that easy.
But you know what?
It's a more technical skill, is it? I don't know.
Well, I don't think it is, as long as you don't have an expectation that you're going to jump from your first painting to being great at it. As long as, because he's very big on mistakes are important. You have to make mistakes to learn. That was something that was drilled into me in art school is, hey, mistakes are going to happen.
Right.
Artists figure out how to curve the mistakes into something, not just rip it up and start over, even though I'll really admit I've done that. But I've told people you can start very simple. And as long as you are, if you want to build the skill up, then you just push through the mistakes. But I think Bob Ross does it very well. He's like, look, this is just a color. We're just going to put a color in the corner. And all a cloud is just taking a brush with white and moving it in circles. It's not going to look like
I
his.
just want to show you, I liked your analogy because I couldn't even begin to figure out how to fix my car today. But when I was a kid, I tuned up my own little Volkswagen using this beat up old book, How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive for the Complete Idiot. And this was a classic in my generation. We all use this. We're trying to get Manny on here because I want to see. I want to get his.
I'm here.
Manny's here.
Hi, Manny. Do you want to show us your Mac screen? I guess you don't have a camera on your Mac.
No, this is my Mac Mini. So
yeah. So share your screen.
Let's see.
There's a little plus button at the bottom on the restream, and you can pick your second camera, and that can be your screen. Or no, what is it? Does it say share screen?
There's the share screen.
It says screen share.
Press
yeah.
H.
Press H. Oh, look at that. All this time.
I'm sorry, I'm hitting share window. That's what it's doing. I apologize.
No problem.
I mean, you can do window too. It doesn't have to be
Okay. So.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
Okay.
We're
seeing the Discord. So I know we're in the right spot.
But you see Discord?
No, we see it now.
A GitHub message. Okay. So I just finished having it
make it as big as you can so we can
minutes.
read the text because that's I don't know how big you can make. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Okay.
So it's like, can we push this and commit it? Then
so this is Claude Code here.
Open a new branch and let's pull down the newest issue and get to work.
I love it that Claude was able to write an iOS app, and then you submitted it, and it got accepted. It's mind-boggling.
So I've actually started on the second project too, so I can have this window go to work here. I can tell this one, okay, Claude, let's switch to main and grab the newest issue and get to work. So this is pushing up so this actually just spent about 30 minutes making these changes on its own while I was on the chat with you guys and the other
nice.
Over there. Yeah.
You see, you can get work done even when you're not working.
So this truncated text one is the newest issue I just opened, and it's got an image in here. I don't know if you can see that this word weekly is truncated. So I want to fix this to only be, 5 letters total at most. Let's see, it wants my attention for something. Yeah. Okay. So it's downloaded the image so it can parse it.
And you're on the beta too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, this one wants attention now. Oh, did this stop? Please continue.
You say, please, good for you. You're a nice, polite person.
Okay.
You're just burning tokens. How much did that cost? A couple pennies?
I can't get myself to be rude. I just can't. I have to say please and thank you.
Yeah,
I have started just doing the thumbs up now instead of thank you, but
I won't be rude, but I won't say thank you either.
yeah.
I like to thank you to end a topic, right? Thank you. This is complete. Let's move on.
Oh, that might be valuable. Yeah.
The only time I will make an idle threat is I'll tell it people's lives are at stake here, and I have had response where it's like, okay, this code needs to be right, or people's lives are at stake, and it will change and
it's
be a little
mission
more
critical. Oh man, I love that. It's okay to lie to an AI, right?
There's no reason not to be rude. I mean, no reason to be rude, and politeness is just a habit.
That's the thing.
You got to think what it was trained on, right? It's trained on context of Stack Overflow and all this, right? And so when you've looked at those threads, right, people that are polite get better responses and all that kind of stuff, right? You're trying to fall in line with something that's already been done, and so I feel like that gives it the context of give me the right answer, right? The thank you after the correct response in Stack Overflow gives it that context of reference.
I love it. So what are you working on, Manny?
So inside my app here, when you go to like create a recurring nudge, the word right here, like weekly, gets truncated. And so
yes.
I'm going to have it try and switch this to say day, week, month, or year rather than daily, weekly, monthly.
Yeah. It's easier to do that than have it somehow resize the box, I guess.
And you could see with enough resources how you could really scale this, right? Like multiple concurrent requests going on at the same time. And now as an engineer, you're just, approve that, decline that, right? And you could have a team here working for you with one like managing resource.
Are any of you using agentic resources, or I know you can with Claude add little agents that help out, I guess. I haven't tried it.
Well, this is what Codex is really, because OpenAI Codex, you can basically just throw in requests and it will make pull requests for the changes. So you literally go to point it at your repository, you fire up a couple of requests and you go away, and then a day later, it might come back with, I've added 3 pull requests.
Wow. Wow.
I see in the chat here this chocolate milk mini sip, this first 3D printed object. You see my 3D print over here over my shoulder. What did you use for that? I've tried out Backflip AI and had varying results.
Wow. Are you giving it? Are you having the AI generate the 3D files to give the printer?
Well, traditionally that hasn't worked very well, right?
Yeah.
Like I think we were talking about OpenSCAD earlier, right?
OpenSCAD works.
You can make boxes and spheres and things like that. But as far as like complex models, I haven't gotten anything great out of it. There you go, some fabric. Now, did AI create that, or was that off Thingiverse? Right.
No, I do have heaps of AI created stuff. In fact, I'll show you my World of Warcraft character.
Nice.
It's sort of, I made an AI thing for Gridfinity. Did it, but basically, I'm finding that the OpenSCAD has quite a lot of limits on what it can do. Like, you can get AI to generate you OpenSCAD stuff, but it's quite interesting. It will give you the shape of the program, but it makes it, as Jeff Jarvis often says, it has no understanding of the world. And so it makes the dumbest mistakes in terms of, it'll give you the complicated program, but it really doesn't understand on top of, upside down, through, beside. So any spatial reasoning, it really, really doesn't get. So it'll put all the right pieces together and you can debug it, but they're all in the wrong places and nothing connects to anything. And so it's an example that really shows up the limitations, because, we always pretend on these things that these things can do amazing, do anything. But the more you use it, the more you realize that they do have massive limitations.
And I would imagine like training on OpenSCAD data is probably not like a priority for OpenAI, right? Like that's going to take somebody in that space doing it.
OpenSCAD, it's actually good at OpenSCAD because it's all the code is out there. Although I'm moving to the Python libraries of like FreeCAD and stuff.
I was wondering. I haven't seen any FreeCAD MCPs or anything like that, but I'm sure somebody's working on them out there.
Yeah. No, so it's good at that. What it's not good is understanding and modeling the real world. What it can't do is the shapes and stuff. So it can write you the code and all the bits that you ask for are there, but they're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand. It can't think in terms of the shapes because it's never been forced to model the real world.
To Leo's point about a home, I'm also doing some remodeling. I grew up working for an electrician and have some electrical background, and I was wiring up some 3-way switches, and I just wanted to like confirm my 10 years ago knowledge of how to do it, right? And so I asked AI, and the text-based response was pretty good. Have AI generate a diagram of a 3-way switch if you want a good laugh, because it is terrible. If you do like a diffusion model, it looks like very artistic and like flowy. And then the new models where it's like token based, like creating pixel by pixel, it's better, but still not good. It's got a long way to go from.
It's really interesting where the gaps are, isn't it? It's just like it can write an iOS app, but it doesn't know how to diagram a 3-way switch. It's like crazy.
Yeah, that's where like chocolate mini sip. I'm sorry, no, I butchered that name.
You can call him Paul. It's hard to keep saying chocolate milk mini sip.
I like it though.
I like it too.
The struggle is to get the machine to understand what you've got in your mind, and that's been my problem. Is every time I try it, I want to be able to say to this thing, I want to just be able to take a cursor and circle a part and say, keep that the same. Here's the part you messed up. Just fix that. And instead, it's like, here, let me reinvent it. But now it has spider legs. And I'm like, no. That's not what I said, man. I just want that arm to be fixed because, the biceps are way too big. This has to be realistic. And it's like, no. You clearly wanted a man made out of brick that is now spewing fire out of a nostril because I told it to change one part.
Yeah.
But I think
well, if you're, there's better models for that now. Like there's something called Context with a K. And that's more like it'll actually like edit things without like redrawn the whole thing and stuff like that.
Oh, good, because Firefly can't handle it. It falls apart in 2 seconds. I mean,
the thing is, there's no like one model to like do everything. I think I bookmarked something. See if I could find
and that's the other thing too is, okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to be paying $400 a month for 8 models because I need to piecemeal. I mean, that's a me problem. Don't get me wrong. I understand some people have that money.
I just signed up for Grok 4 yesterday, so I'm now paying for like 5 of them.
Why?
Oh.
Well, just to play with it, just for a month.
To play.
Yeah, that's research for you. I understand that. For me, it's like I could just spend another 20 minutes and I could just draw it. So that's but I would like it to be better at that stuff for somebody like Paul, who is not necessarily a native artist, to be like, okay, here's what I'm trying to do. Because I also don't think everybody needs to commission an artist at however much an hour for making a brochure for their cousin's wedding. Like, come on. There is a reasonable expectation that good enough is, you want something above clip art, because nobody wants clip art for the most case. But it
that's what's interesting about code or wiring. Good enough may really not be good enough. Like you might really have a problem. If you've got 6 fingers on a AI image, that's not the end of the world. But if you have a circuit that has, isn't grounded, that could be a problem. So,
well, you're right. Like, this is one place where it's a polar opposite example, where coding it is important for the pieces to work. In art, a lot of times, the defects are what make it interesting. They want the artist's deflection or diffusion of what's happening to make it unique. Whereas, a lot of AI stuff looks kind of the same. They all use brightly blown out colors a lot of times. It has a sameness to it. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of repel from after a while. But because they want to see, like I have original artwork where I can see the brush and the pencil strokes. Now, for some people, that's useless. They don't care. They just want something to put on the wall. That's fine. But other people are like, no, I want to see it. I want that grit. I want to see where they made that mark and why.
There's going to be a market for both, right? Always.
That's what I think.
But yeah, just to your initial point, Joe, like if you're like trying to do video stuff, as you can see there, like here's just a list of every different use cases. Like, if you're doing editing or if you need like character customization, like there's models for like everything under the sun that can go on forever just for like a specific like use case.
Which I kind of like. So, I kind of like the idea that people are making very, very bespoke models tools. Because for those people, that's the thing I don't need it to do everything. I just need it to do this one thing. And
when you say people, what's interesting, it really is just people like us who are using quantization and other tools to fine tune these models. They're taking existing models and really modifying them dramatically. That's what's interesting about Hugging Face. I mean, there's so many models on there. And
is anybody buying the Hugging Face robot?
Yeah, I don't know. I have in the past bought robots that were supposedly programmable, and they've all collected dust or worse. My kid ended up playing with it in the mud. But so I probably won't buy this one. I've bought way too many that I've never.
To Joe's point here, like I don't want to akin this to crypto, but we've got like that Bitcoin and then all the variations on it, right? To do specific things. This one's faster. This one's optimized for this and that. Is that what we're getting into here, where we've got these foundation models and then all these fine tunes to do this and
both
that,
ways.
Right?
Yeah, both ways.
And so as we talk about again the definition of like AGI or whatever, right? Like is that the goal, or is it a conglomerate of all these, right? Where we pick and choose these models that are good for certain things, and there's an orchestrator, and that's the AGI, right? It's I don't know. We're moving. It just changes all the time. It moves fast.
I will be honest. I somewhat enjoy the chaos because I think that's what you need. I don't want everybody to have one approach. I think homogenization is bad in anything. So some of the friction I think is beneficial because it will, like a lot of other things, start to sift into, okay, this group needs this group needs this. There's no reason that one or the other is right or wrong. It's what applies. And in terms of engineering, I also like the idea that, okay, if somebody doesn't have the time to do an app top to bottom, they can get 80% of the way there and realize it, as opposed to never making the app at all. I don't want somebody to not make something because they don't have the time. If there's a tool that assists that, that's the goal. and whether it's important that they understood how it got there, I think that becomes whether the person thinks it's important. If they don't, then they don't. I'm not going to condemn them for it.
Well,
There is a benefit to knowing.
Images or sound or code or anything, that's, I think, the greatest potential benefit of AI at the moment is the democratization of abilities, in that, I have, as I've said many times, musical ability is the furthest thing from my anything that I have can do, and that's why I take the most pleasure from something like Suno, because there's no way I could produce a song of any sort that someone would listen to, but the fact that I can think of something, type it in, and come up with something that's actually quite entertaining, it just excites me so much, because it's not something I have. And if you want to do a little legal letter to someone or something, all these skills that you don't have, maybe you're not doing it at the top level, but suddenly anybody can create an image, they can write a song, they can do this. And I think that is an amazing, empowering thing.
Yeah, like the one thing I the pattern is like, if it's better, like it's amazing if it could do it at least better than the user. So like, if you're a writer and like you try to like have AI write something, you're like, oh, this is garbage. But if you're not great at it, it's like, oh, this is like magic, right?
Exactly.
Or like Joe, like you're like, this is crap art.
Yeah,
but,
it's bringing everybody up to like an average level in everything, which is.
I also think the potential is to have somebody, when it creates something that, like, let's say you tell it to write your short noir story, writes it, and you're like, okay, you can identify what you think is missing, and then can you start to figure out how to write that yourself, right? So, okay, these parts work, these parts don't. And if it gets you to start to do something and start to think, because I think for some people, the creative block is they don't necessarily know where the gaps in their understanding is. And if they start to see it, even in a crude form, they're going like, that's what's missing. What I wanted was, I wanted a guy in a dark alley with the rain on the pavement and a fedora, and it didn't do that. So let me write this and alter the person to be, Harrison Ford from Blade Runner with a fedora or whatever. That stuff is good because it still stimulates imagination. So it's not totally worthless, even if the story that got produced is something that is probably very similar to 8,000 other examples. It's to get you to start to engage and think about it. And there's a benefit to that, because that person might 10 years from now never use a tool again because they can write, because they learned about it, because they were interested. And somebody who doesn't shouldn't have to. They want to use a tool for it, and it accomplishes what they need. Use the tool. It's like anything else. It's just a tool.
So as a professional artist, like where does this fit into your workflow, right? Like at the beginning for ideas, or you use it?
So I'm by no means an ordinary person. So I don't know that my use case will ever apply to anybody else. I am a wackadoo. So let's start there, so nobody thinks I'm supposed to be like the standard bearer. But for me, what I keep looking for is there's been no tool that has saved me any time. That's the real thing. And also, I'll just tell you that for me, and this is just me personally in the way that my brain works, there's almost a percentage of something where if I didn't make that percentage of it, I don't feel like it's my creation anymore. I want it to be. Now, that's all degrees, because like I use Procreate for almost everything I draw. Well, I can't draw a perfect circle on the tablet. I can't. So I make the circle, and then I tell it, make that a circle. That's creation by a machine. That's not me making the circle. My circle will be all over the place. So that's doing that for me. In the same way that, like when I do certain things, I use a pencil. I'll draw it out on the tablet because I want perfect symmetry. And then I'll use a piece of carbon paper to map it onto a physical surface. Well, that's a tool. It's just not a computer. So for me, there's almost no use for it because the utility is next to zero. That's not to say somebody else wouldn't have the same thing. So for me, it's more of refining edges. Like I use, like let's say, content-aware fill in Photoshop. That's probably the most I ever use in terms of any of these tools. Not because I'm like, I hate them, but they just have not provided anything that I can't provide myself or want to provide myself. But that's also me growing up, loving art, loving doing that, also being frustrated by it. But again, I have a right hand that can draw. perfect function as far as I know. I have that privilege. Not everyone has it. I have a wild and weird imagination. I was not dropped on it in my head as far as I know, but it's there. Again, a privilege I have because somebody wants to create a storybook for their child. They can't do that because of an AI tool. Who am I to say that? Because they're not me. So,
yeah, and we are going to have a whole new generation where this is their norm, right? Like where they're using these tools to create, learn, and figure things out, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the long term too, right? Are we leaning into this, and this is first, right? You go to Google and search first. Now that's the new norm. Like, is that where we're heading, or do we have institutions like we talked about, right? That promote learning it first and using the model for like reinforcement or supplementing your own knowledge. I'll be curious to see how that plays out, how these institutions teach it to the next generation.
If I were to give you my ideal world, which of course we don't live in, but this is what it would be that at a young age, they try to figure out where your skills are. And those skills, they kind of figure out whether, okay, this is something you really want to do because you have a passion for it or not. And then those gaps are filled in by whatever tools are available. And some people will grab it. When I was in my art classes, there were people who clearly were just taking art class because it was easy. Because guess what? It was. That's why I went to art school, because I suck at school. So, but there were people who were just drawing flowers and they weren't putting any effort in because they didn't care. They just wanted to be able to pass and get that grade. Okay, fine. And then there were other people who you could tell they wanted that thing to look like they wanted it to look. Neither person should be left
Anthony,
out,
are you building a 3D birthday cake?
This is a while back when I first started playing with the MCP with Blender. So this is Claude trying to build a birthday cake for TWiT back in the past. But I just wanted to put something in the background while we were just chatting. And I'm just wanting to show something that it's really, really bad, but
real quick, one more time.
I don't know if you remember this, Anthony. I don't know if you were in the studio, but when I was there for the second to last one in the East Side studio, and I drew a birthday cake in the back and had
it was great
while the show was going on. Right now, not everybody's going to want to spend the whole show sitting there drawing on a tablet for 2 hours to make a birthday cake, and they shouldn't be forced to. But for me, that was fun because I was listening, because that's what I usually do. I have something on the background and I draw. So I was doing both at once. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to make a birthday cake just because you can't draw.
So Claude is done working. Can I jump in real quick to show the results?
Yes, let's see. Yeah. So did it fix your spacing, Manny?
It sure did.
Nice.
So I had it generate its own pull request here. So here's the pull request that it generated. It's still running through the pipeline here.
Hold on. We just lost the picture, Manny.
Oh, did you? Oh, no. I don't know how that happened. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Is it working again?
Claude, write me a plugin that means that my screen will never disappear in the middle of the day.
Okay. Yeah, so I had it write the whole pull request here. The pipeline passed. I mean, it's not very big, but I can pull up the simulator. And now, as we see, it says every 1 week, and then we change it, it'll say 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so a month, every 1 month, or every 2 months. So it fixed my truncated text issue here. All I did was give it a picture and a prompt. Probably drive this up a little bit, but yeah, it is pretty cool stuff.
All right. Well, we also wanted. We initially, Leo wanted to talk about running stuff locally, but we could do that
We'll do that next time.
Next time. I had some stuff set aside. We could. But you said you're getting an AI PC, right, Leo?
Well, yeah, I am, but I ordered it from Framework, and I don't think they've shipped any yet. So it may be, this is that new desktop with the new AMD Ryzen AI Plus chip, which I don't think AMD has even shipped yet. So who knows when that's going to come. When it does, we'll spend some time building it and playing with models and stuff. But there'd be no point in thinking about models now because as you already pointed out, I think, Darren, you were the one who pointed it out, everything is changing rapidly. Here we go. We got the screen back.
Oh, this is mine. But
that's
like, so like we could dive into this next time, but like
I do want to talk about local models because they are getting better and better and better, and it's really
what are you
an
running
interesting
locally?
Concept.
So I just have like a home lab going. I have Olama running with Gemma 3, and then I have Open Web UI built on top of that, and then searching as my web interface. So
interesting.
I can emulate like ChatGPT interface and stuff. Now results are like nowhere near. I don't have a big GPU to be running, Mistral Small and some of these other large models, but it works. You got to keep the context even smaller. Right now, I'm trying to use it for like web scraping. So instead of having to know all of the attributes and tags for all of like the contact information for a company, right? I can just pump in the HTML and it gives me back out the object in JSON format, and then I can use that, right? So I've got another one where I built like an abstracted API generalist where you can define your input schema and you can define your output schema and then give it a prompt in the middle. And now you've got a JSON API for anything you want with an LLM in the middle, right? And so those are kinds of the things I'm playing with locally, not burning through credits, trying out these local models and just seeing what works.
I mean, I just did a quick test with Gemma 3 and it's like, I mean, I could see even just building like a bot that where like, you drop an image in Slack and you need like an alt text for the image real quick, like that'd be a cool thing, like simple things like that.
In practice, we're using it for a few things. Documentation is a big one. So pumping in all of our documentation locally, not into like these cloud models, and then having it find conflicts in requirements or gaps in requirements, writing new requirements since it's got 400 pages of requirements. Now it knows our patterns, it knows all the pieces, and given a general idea, it can produce requirements. Like emergency response, right? So incident response stuff. We load all of our documentation in there for what should happen. We load all of our context in there, and now you can say, hey, we have an incident. What's next, right? And so I think some of these things on like the edge computing side of stuff, while we're finding that they are possible, realistically, like the speed and the quality, the cloud models like are so far above and beyond, right? And that's why I said I think we have a dissection, right? Microsoft focusing on optimizing these and not being a foundational model company. We're going to get those streamlined processes, but I think we're still on the up curve of cloud model here, where that's getting better too. So I don't think we're going to have this consolidation yet until we max out theoretical limits of cloud stuff and need to optimize it for edge computing.
But like, the current foundational models, like, 4.0, like that can do a lot. Like, you don't need like the greatest model to do everything, right?
Right.
And there's like good enough for like 90% of the tasks. So like once the local stuff's at where we're at currently, like that's going to be good for a lot of things, right?
Yeah. What blows my mind is just the compression, right? We've compressed the entire internet down to like 8 gigs. You know what I mean? And not that it's great, but like if you are like I don't know, if we're going to Mars or going somewhere else, right? Like that 8 gigs is going to have like the entirety of, and maybe it's 50 or 100, right? But we've still compressed everything down to a manageable size that you can travel with that. You can take that offline and like have that resource of all of human knowledge in hundreds of gigs. Maybe it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's also like, I think I very much agree with Anthony with I think the local models are good enough for most things now, because people need to just focus on how they got them local. In that, you start with this trillion parameter model, you refine it in some ways, and get the smaller. And one of the ways, obviously, is quantizing it, which just makes it a little more exact. But the biggest thing normally is they're fine tuning it, and what they're doing is throwing particular problems at it, looking at what activates, and then saying, well, none of this area activated, so we don't need it and everything. Now, typically, when they're doing this, they're not asking questions. They're looking for actions. They're mostly saying, optimizing for, can it code well? Can it do this? So the very first thing that's going to go is obscure knowledge, like who is this person, everything. So that's not a great test of a local model, because that's the first thing it's going to throw out, and it's going to keep just the bits it needs to code in or something. So as Anthony said, if you start thinking about, you need to get the model that has been fine-tuned for the use case you have.
Yep.
But once you do that, the local models are well and truly good enough for a lot of things you're doing, and they're not that much worse. I mean, they're obviously worse than the foundation models, but they're not that much worse for that task. Like if you're just, for instance, I use local models to produce a comment for everything I check in, like the code comment or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's good enough for that if you choose the right model. But you've got to get far more specific about the model you're choosing, and testing these models by just throwing arbitrary tasks at it is not representative, because as soon as they've cut it down, it's no longer a general purpose model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if you're thinking about building like a specific like workflow or application, like something like in home automation or something where you could use like MCP, like these tiny models could probably, get you pretty far.
I think that's the bar for me, right? When I can get rid of my echoes here and run a local model that can interact with audio and turn on and off lights. And I know Home Assistant is like both.
There's an MCP for that, yeah.
Yeah, right. But but it's like, I don't know, the amount of effort that you have to put in versus
it's like why do it when Siri, like even like the standard stock Siri could like do a lot of things,
right. I still find those gaps, but I agree. It's like audio, right? When you compress it, you lose fidelity and you lose those things that are not in the human hearing range, and you've optimized for just the human hearing range, right? Which is fine if you're listening to it on like a little pair of earbuds or something, right? But when you need it to sound good, you don't have those extra scopes.
Yeah. All right. This has been going on for. We should probably wrap this up.
We're over.
Yeah, it's only supposed to be an hour. I don't know what happened.
Sorry.
No, right. We love it. Hey, let me give a couple of plugs because you guys are great. I love it that you did this, and I think these are really good examples of what it means to vibe code. This is nudgenote, Manny's app on the App Store for iOS. It's working on the iPad too, or is it just iOS?
So whoever at the Apple reviewed it on an iPad, and it worked to completion for them.
Okay.
And it said it again. They said that they did the test on iPad OS.
Okay.
However, it wasn't designed with
size-wise is written for the iPhone. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you, Manny. I love it. I really appreciate having you on and your input on this, and it's very cool that you're doing this. Let's keep doing. We're going to do these user groups monthly, so we'll have more opportunities to talk. Let me see. Let me find.
Heck yeah! Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
fun. This Club TWiT is probably my favorite expense that I have every month. I love it.
Well, thank you for spending the money. I appreciate it. Yeah. We really love having you in the club, Manny. Can I ask a personal question?
Absolutely.
Are you really one-armed?
I am.
How do you type? You do this whole thing with one hand?
Yeah, I actually type pretty fast. I type probably about 55, 60 words a minute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll post a picture in the club. It's pretty wild. I look like Thing from the Addams Family.
You have a very adept hand, obviously.
It gets a lot of use.
That's really cool. Well, I really a pleasure meeting you, and I really thank you for being a member of the club. Thanks a lot, Manny.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Bill, I want to thank you too. GitHub.com/GA. What did you call it?
BGWA.
BG. I'm going to say dash WA. And if you go to his repositories, you'll see right at the top there. You'll see this very cool app, which I suppose at some point people could run.
Yeah. I mean, again, I like creating things. I don't really want to maintain things necessarily. So yeah, submit some PRs, build it up, and then we can.
That's right. We could all work on this, couldn't we?
Yeah. I don't
that's
want to be the bottleneck
idea
here. So fork it and do whatever you want to, and we can talk about distribution when we got a little bit further along.
Well, because it's written in React Native and Expo, I presume we could put it on a iPhone just as much as an Android app, right?
Yep.
It's cross-platform. So everybody, get your PRs ready. BG-WA/twit_mobile_app. Thank you for doing that, man. I know. Bill, I don't think you're the only one. We got right, Anthony. We got a bunch of emails.
I could have sworn there's some others, but
yeah. So anybody else who wants to get involved, I love this idea of. Let me turn on my camera. I had it turned off. I love this idea of maybe actually getting an app.
Yeah.
After spending $75,000 for zilch, it might be nice to get a free one. We actually have had over the years many people developing various apps. The one that was probably the most successful, he got a real job, and they said no more of this hobby coding. So whatever you do, Manny and Bill and Darren, don't get a real job, okay?
Oh, I've already got one. That's why I don't want to maintain this and own it, right? I know the cost of maintenance.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what happened. He got a job with a big bank, and it was they're not going to let him do this anymore. Hey, thank you, everybody. We do these as part of our mission to make Club Twit be the best darn hangout for geeks everywhere. If you're not a member of Club Twit and watching this live, because we do stream it live to the public when we do it, consider, if you will, twit.tv/clubtwit, $10 a month, $120 a year. There's a 2-week free trial. There are enterprise and family plans as well if you want to get everybody involved. And we think it's a good, we've tried to put a lot of value into it. We think it's a good value, ad-free versions of all the Twitch shows, these special club events. Micah's Crafting Corner, Stacy's Book Club. We just did Chris Marquardt's Photo Time. We'll do that again in 4 weeks. We're going to do more coffee, more coding. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great place for geeks like us to hang out. So join the club. It also, by the way, is very important to us in our bottom line. It keeps us going. 25% of our operating costs now come from club members. So thank you, club members. We appreciate it. Thanks to Anthony Nielsen, our esteemed producer and AI guru here at TWiT. He does all the AI stuff. Yeah. Thanks, Joe, for being here. I appreciate it. Joe Esposito is a great artist, and if you are in the club, you will see some wild stuff that he puts up in the Club Twit Discord. He's our poster guy. Although you get some competition from some other people, like a Pretty Fly for Assist guy. We're getting some great AI art in there. It's really a lot.
Yeah,
of fun.
I can't be that quick. Sorry, everybody. I'm old and I'm slow.
No, that's fine. We love it. We love what you do. I especially love the stuff you do for Richard Campbell and his Mountie outfit. That's always
that's a lot of fun. Like I said, I found out about all these old Canadian whiskey ads, and boy, oh boy, you're going to see a lot of them.
Is that where they come from? So they're actually just modified Canadian whiskey ads.
Yep, I found them, and they are.
How do you find all those vintage stuff? Like, do you have a resource for that? I did
a search for. In that case, I did a search for vintage whiskey ads.
Okay.
And I kept seeing these ones that were borderline horribly sexist. And I was like, oh, those are funny. And they're just on that edge where they're funny enough without crossing the line. And they were all for Canadian whiskey because they have like a Mountie or whatever that outfit is. And I can just paste his head on there and then modify a couple things. But there's so much. It's so rich for people like me who like modifying existing stuff. So people kind of have an itch where they're like, have I seen that before? As opposed to just generating a new one. So, if you want to be an amateur, annoying Photoshop pest in a Discord, vintage ads are your best friend, and there's tons of them.
I'm scrolling back through the club to find one of them. The one you did this Wednesday was hysterical.
Oh, that was a fun one. That was
he
a good
was reclining on a blanket with a young lady. And
there's a lot of that young lady in those ads, which is what I mean about borderline. Like
that's how they sell
luckily
whiskey.
His hand doesn't drift anywhere. I couldn't use it. Luckily, it's always just enough. But I'm like, that's good stuff.
Richard, by the way, is going to do a PC build next week. He's getting all the parts for his brand new PC, which I think will actually have some AI capabilities. And we persuaded him to do that build in the club. So that will be streamed in the club. What is it? A week from Friday? That week from today? 2 weeks from today.
It's next week. Yeah.
Oh, it is next week. Okay.
Yeah.
So a week from today. That'll be a lot of fun. I'll be there for that. And I said I'll narrate while you screw. So he'll be doing the screwing and assembling it all. And then if I ever get that framework thing, I'll do the same thing if I ever get it. Oh, I'm scrolling back through here, and I just.
And as another bonus for Club Twit members, if you're in the club, you can show up like me, knowing nothing about any of this stuff, and ask questions and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Here you go.
I agree. This is the most I've participated in the internet in about a decade. So
welcome to the internet. Welcome. It's good to have you. And thanks to Darren Oakey, who is always an inspiration to me using AI, doing interesting things. And of course, one of our, along with Chocolate Milk Mini Sip Premier Advent of Code Coders, we really appreciate your participation all the time, Darren. Thank you. Thanks all.
You know what the best part of that image was, Leo? Finding that old Microsoft logo and putting it on there. I was like, ooh, vintage Microsoft logo. That's got to go on there.
And sure on his lapel. Yeah.
Old, I mean, you can't really see it, but the O with the lines in it. I like old logos quite a bit, so it's kind of nice to.
You could tell she's very impressed by it too, right? She's
clearly.
She says, boy, Microsoft, wow, that's pretty cool.
It's not the liquor at all that's impressing her. No, it's the Microsoft logo.
And I love the brand. It's Brown Liquor brand whiskey.
Yeah, the Brown Liquor segment. Yeah, you can barely even see it once I made it look like the rest.
That's an example of what Joe does. That's with your actual pen, right? That's not AI generated.
No, it's no AI except for content-aware fill on the background, but everything else was Photoshop and just finding fonts and then adding noise and blurring so that they look. And then I have to do some shading to make the skin tones correct. Nice. It's so much work that's unnecessary, but I enjoy it. So
we love it, and it makes the club a lot more fun. Thank you again, Darren and Bill and Manny and Joe and Anthony. Thanks to all of you for watching. If you just caught the tail end of it, it will be on the TWiT Plus feed a little later on today. Keep an eye on, if you don't subscribe to the newsletter, twit.tv/newsletter, they don't let you know ahead of time what we're going to be doing, or keep an eye on the events tab in Discord because there's lots of stuff coming up. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.